gonna have to tell them to join off my profile because they're getting a bit bored of Quyll depending on me to send an invite. Why are all Discord mobile that? Okay, now the stream is up, but I've got
I don't think he really knows what
turn
he's doing.
the audio off that. And also, yeah, do that. Who's in? Is Quyll in? Is yeah, I'll tell them to ready up now. PC F3 ready up. Okay, we'll just go. If someone's late, they can join mid-quali. 2 people are watching the stream. I've pinged them to ready up and they're not readying up. Oh my gosh, people. I've told you to ready up, so ready up. Nick says to not use last name. And we are in. And the session took a few seconds to start, which a tad concerning. Now we just wait for people to come in. This might be the first time I'm not frantically panicking at the start of a session. Okay, seems like we've got the first few people, which is an Alfa Romeo of Quyll. I'm mashing F6 right now. Okay, now we can do an onboard. Turn 1 I don't know the name of. Let's call it the first turn. I believe this is turn 3. I really should learn these numbers. Into turn 4 and 5, I don't know the name of. Apparently they fixed the glitch where you could completely yeet that curb if you had 60 FPS instead of higher. Apparently they fixed it, although apparently it's still a bit there. Also, looking at the OBS things, I might want to do a few more adjustments to the audio, so I'll do those now. Lower that there. And we're back in. Unfortunately, Quyll has disconnected, and I'm not going to do my rant about slow out laps now. I'll save it for later. But we ride on board with Quyll. Takes a wide line to start the lap, opening DRS. Going very quickly. And then braking before the 100-meter board. Taking the curb out on the inside of turn 1, which is unusual. And then getting on the throttle, do this really long curvy thing, and then onto the brakes, completely yeeting the curb, which you can do if you run high enough ride height. That's the other factor as to whether you can take the curb. And going through the Lesmos, decent. And then opening DRS on the run down to Ascari, which is maybe the most challenging corner on this track, especially with the low downforce, but keeps it flat through the final bit of Ascari, which is a sign that the driver has high confidence. Then we're going to into Parabolica, which I believe is turn 11, if I have my numbers right. Keeping it just within the track limits and crossing the line, and it is a 20 8.1. Someone's asking if there's an Alpine with inters. There is. Chirvak's also retired from the session. That might be because of a quali ban, but inters in qualifying. He's actually going for a lap. That's a bit concerning. Because it's a penalty, unfortunately. Because even though... so the rules say that you're not allowed to use a tyre unsuited for the wetness of the track. However, the intermediates on this game are actually overpowered some of the time. They don't look very overpowered right now. Although there are like times when the track is basically dry and the inters will be better than the hards. Like, no joke. Like, I've had that before. But it is interesting. And he pulls into the pits. Doing, I believe, an out lap and then aborting a push lap. We'll just check now if also Pena has retired. I'm going to check now to see whether Churek and Pena retiring is a quali ban or if they have some other reason. I don't... Looking at the verdicts, there weren't any quali bans awarded. We ride on board with Ivanek, who's just finished a lap to go into 5th place with a 21.2, which isn't the quickest. Will anyone get into the 19s? And that is the question. Khan appears to be on an in-lap. This is the battery. But Tomas Kovacs is on an out lap. It literally says that on the timing tower, and he'll... Ugh, that's not good. And also the 100% battery. This is not good. This lag. If it keeps lagging for this lap and I check it's not mine, I might have to do a bit of a ping on Discord. Takes it okay through there. Maybe a bit less minimum speed through turn 2 than desired. But there's a lot of lag, so I can't be that certain to it. Appears to brake late, although again, lag. Using second gear, maybe to try and get that rotation. Decent through the Lesmos, although I don't think this will set the timing screens alight unless all of the bad driving has been purely lag and this has in fact been a great lap, which... Oh gosh, this is bad lag. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some informing right now. Let's see if it's the same as happening on other people. Here we go. Should we ride more with Dominic, who is 1 point off the championship lead behind Kent, and yes, I do have the championship on my other screen, which is good. Okay, it seems like Dominic is not lagging, so I'll ping Tomas now. Stozak has retired from the session as well. And now heading across the start-finish straight into turn 1, braking before the 100-meter board. Maybe braking a little too early. short shifting into 4th to try and avoid the wheel spin, and then taking the shortest line through turn 3 by hugging the inside, and then braking into turn 4, going from 3rd and short shifting into 4th, then into the Lesmos, carrying decent speed, although you don't really want to touch the apex, sorry, the curb at the apex of the first Lesmo, but otherwise it's been a pretty decent lap. Going into a Ascari now, braking after the 100 meter board, carrying good speed, and then taking the final bit flat, which is always a good sign. And then only one more corner left, which is not too difficult of a corner. Just need to be careful to not run it too wide and invalidate, which definitely isn't happening this lap. But Dominic crosses the line and it is a 20.5, which right now is enough for P4. Kent seems to have aborted his lap, so not the ideal quali so far for a championship leader, but there's still enough times for 2 more runs if needed. Seems like Mackenzie gonna, I don't know what's happening. I would have aborted this lap because it's 10 seconds down. Ride on board with David Hoy, who is on a push lap right now, and then going through the second Lesmo, and then using a nice bit of inside curb, and then opening the DRS. Although I talked about the curb about 2 years after the corner, now into Ascari. Oh, you don't want to take the curb on the inside of turn 10. Lifting off a little bit, that is really gonna hurt you a lot on the run into Parabolica. Braking and then accelerating, using a decent amount of track, and then running it to the line, and it is a 20.9, which is really not what he'll be hoping for. I've just noticed he only has 14 points, 6 of which came in the sprint race at Austria. So he'll probably be hoping to get a good result in this race to catapult himself up the standings. We ride on board with Oscar Eberson, who is on an in-lap, I believe, just based off the amount of battery. But both Ken and Keeler are on an outlap now. Who do we ride on board with? I think we'll go for Keeler, who's starting first. Okay. Opening the DRS. Going down into turn 1. Braking just for the 100 meter board. Trail braking nicely. Getting good minimum speed, and then getting some good traction off the exit of the corner as Mackenzie Khan does a 99, as Keeler's minimising the distance as much as possible, and then braking into turn 4, using all the inside curb, but getting a snap of oversteer, which is the cost of taking that curb. Hugging the curb of turn 6 nicely now into 7. Taking it in 6, interestingly. Although it seemed like there was a little bit of understeer there. But shutting the DRS, going into Ascari and making his way through. Quite nice and clean. And now there's only one more corner left. Braking after the 50 meter board. Having pretty good speed on entry, and then getting a nice exit, and then backing off the lap. We'll see what Kent is able to do. That car's 3:45. That's quick. Maybe he's using the ride height hacks to increase straight line speed as the fuel light is on, because Jordan is only on 8/10 of a lap of fuel, but that is enough to make it to the end. Just that you'll enter low fuel mode on the in lap, but he crosses the line into the 20.0. As we ride on board. To mass, just to check whether the lag is still bad or not. Getting a pretty decent speed into turn 1, although going a bit hot on the brakes and really not getting good minimum speed through the apex of turn 2, which will compromise your run all the way through Curva Grande, although a slipstream will help a bit. And then going into turn 4 and 5, opting not to use the curb, which is different to Quyll, but not getting any oversteer, again opposite to Quyll. And then do the Lesmos. First one was done quite nicely, though fourthly in the second one, which suggests that the car's not really rotating as he would like. But we go into Mascari, lifting a bit and then doing a tiny lift through the final part of Ascari, and then it's flat out all the way down to Parabolica, and then braking just after the 50 meter board, having good minimum speed, although seems to pick up a bit of understeer on throttle. But he's now going to the line and it is a 20.4, and it seems like the lag has fixed itself, so I'll do it now. Okay. I think we'll go on board with Mishla for a lap. Seems like it's actually going to be quite tight, as there's only 2 minutes left on the clock, so those in the pit lane really need to get the hurry on, as Wodge has joined the lobby. Not sure why. But we ride on board with Mishla, who is starting a lap now, doing 3:46 into turn 1, pretty fast, but cooking it way too hot into turn 1, which then really compromised turn 2, which probably lost an absolute heap of time. It seems like Pavlakovic has binned it on the exit of Ascari, so he'll be starting P11 at best, assuming that the cars behind do not improve. And it seems like Mishla again overcooks it into the second chicane. Will it be better in the through the Lesmos? Seems to be through the first one, and also through the second Lesmo. But we ride on board into Ascari, braking after the 100 meter board, seems to turn in a bit early, although he is able to maintain full throttle on the exit of Ascari, which should gain a small amount of time, and he backs off. Let's try and get another lap in. I think we'll ride on board with Quyll, who's going to try and get pole position after setting a very quick bank at the start of the session, but hasn't improved since, so we'll be hoping to change that. Braking into turn 1. I think that's a bit hot, but not too bad, although we do not have a delta, so we do not know whether Philip has lost or gained time, and he's only 4 points behind Kent, the lead of the championship. Takes the second chicane really nicely, and the RNG curb decides to be kind this lap, taking some great minimum speed through the Lesmos, although kind of missing the curb and running a bit wide, which will lose a bit of time, although luckily for him it didn't invalidate. And then going into Ascari, carrying a lot of speed through the first part, and flat out through the second part and invalidating. That is not ideal. We'll see what Ked can do, running into Ascari. Having to do a little lift, which either suggests lack of confidence or a bit too aggressive on the setup, which will be a bit of a problem during the race, as the rears were a bit faster than the fronts at this track. Not as aggressive as Baku, but probably the second most aggressive track, as Ken is able to take pole position, unless Dominic, he won't beat that, neither will Kozil, and neither will Ivanek, so it seems like that will be pole position for our championship leader, ahead of Khan, Keeler, Kovacs, Dominic, who's in second place in the championship, behind by just a single point. And then we have Kozil, Everson, Zikolevsky, Hoy, who unfortunately retired, Ivanek, Michelin, Snake, Baklin, Kopidovsky, Sozak, Shurek, and Pena, although I cannot scroll to them because they have retired, unfortunately. But onto the race we should be going. Hurry up, Williams, get the car in the garage, yeah. Oh, hopefully no one puts that as a golden quote. Interesting intermediate strats. Full wet strats. Oh, lovely. No. Lots of intermediates. How did I miss that? Okay, someone asked what track it is next week in the chat. Hello to all 7 of you who are watching. It is the Volux Gran Premio del Made in Italy del Emilia Romagna at the Autodromo Internazionale Enzo Edino Ferrari. I just needed to say that. I love how for that one place it needs like the name of the Grand Prix needs to be like a 20-word essay, but everywhere else it's just the place. We are loading in now. When will game start? Hurry up. Okay, someone has readied up. That might wasn't too quick. Hopefully it won't anger anyone too much. And no one's complained to me about my mic not working, which is good. Well, some would say ideal. Formation lap should be turned off. I hope it's turned off. Otherwise, lobby host might get a penalty. I can't do winking emoji over audio. And it is off. Good. But that means I have to do the things. But it seems to be a good start for a pole sitter who is on the what's it called? Medium compound tyre, whereas everyone else on softs. Oh, there's been a bit of a contact in turn 1. So why is it giving me such bad camera angle? Seems like Mackenzie, Khan, Kovacs and Kozil both have a 5-second and a 3-second penalty respectively. Kozil's actually taking the lead. And Zikolevsky has a 10-second. There's a lot of position swaps going on. Kozil's actually gone for softs. But we'll see back here, and there's actually contact as... Oh, what's happened? Is Misha's front wing broken or something? You can see the front. What's happening with... Misha's just going really slowly, although it seems to be a messy first lap, which I haven't been able to capture very well. There's a lot of overtaking going on, and a lot of using the battery, and it seems like Kent has been able to get past Quyll while saving the battery. And also Quyll is on soft tyres, which will be faster now, but oh, mental maths is hard. It'll be pretty dead in 7 laps. It seems like Kent tried to go for the switchback, but was unable to. He does have the battery to use, as the game is giving. The 2-stop at Monza is basically unusable unless there's a safety car. And I think hard medium is better than medium hard, personally. Although I could understand the justification for medium hard. Seems like Kent's almost dropped out of DRS range after going a bit deep into turn 4. Corner which name I don't know. But it seems like further back there are some much tighter gaps between cars. But it seems like Ivanex decided to sit behind Snake for a bit. But riding ball with Quyll, who's in the slipstream of Pena, as Mackenzie Khan has unfortunately binned it in turn, and that's virtual safety car, in turn 7. What is... someone's... What happened? What happened there? Seems like Pena and Pavlakovic were involved. That is possibly... That is... And Pavlavic's lost the front wing. As Quyll's actually decided to box to serve that penalty and put on the hards, which... Oh no, more, as Pavlavic's also got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Time for more mental maths. How long do the hards go? They don't go 25 laps, that is what I do know. Who do we ride and board? Probably ride and board with Tomas, who is going to be within DRS of Kent when virtual safety car ends, which should be happening in not too long. As it happens now, and it seems like fortunately no one's gotten a drive-through, which is always good. The question is, will Tomas be able to stick within DRS of Kent? It seems like the straight line speed of Kent is very strong. However, Kovacs will have the DRS going along the pretty long main straight, however doesn't get the best exit out of Parabolica. It seems like Kent has used a small dose of battery to get that extra speed, and it seems like whatever Kent's done to the setup, it's doing absolute wonders for the straight line speed. But there's a bit more battling behind, as... Oh gosh, that was a silly move from Churek, as Rogers left the session. As Snape and Churek almost collide with each other. And Quyll is just hoping for carnage, probably. Just saving the... Oh wow. He really had to go for that. Oh my goodness. When will these guys learn to calm down? But meanwhile, Tomas has been dropped out of Jordan's DRS. Oh my lord, with Quyll. He's just watching Churek and Snape having a ding-dong battle, which has allowed Ivanek to pull out almost 2 seconds, as Zikolevsky has set the fastest lap on some soft compound tyres. So they go side by side through Ascari, and then Quyll decides to try and capitalise, although the curbs there are pretty deadly. And it seems like Churek has lost out, and really low in battery. He might also be deficient in the front wing department. No, he isn't deficient in the front wing department. That was just my eyes being funny, but Kent sets the fastest lap on a set of mediums. As it seems like Sostak has been invited to the party, as Churek is trying to get past, but cannot, as Eberson sets the fastest lap. Seems like Snake... Oh gosh, you don't want to use the sausage curb on the inside of turn 2. I think Max learned that... Oh, actually it wasn't that hard. The cushioned hard way. If you take out your championship rival, it's not too bad. But all this battling has allowed Quyll to also follow in Ivanek's footsteps and pull out of DRS. As this fighting has also invited Michelin and Pavlakovic into the DRS train, as Snape has unfortunately had an absolute mare of a corner, but appears to have avoided terminal damage, although rear wing damage could be a bit painful. Although it does make you an absolute rocket ship in a straight line. Although they did nerf wing damage. Once upon a time when the game first came out, I'm not joking, it was faster around Monza if you had no front wing or rear wing than if you had one. But then they increased the downforce loss, so that's no longer the case. I'll ride on board with Michelin, who's following Schureck and Shostak, who are both low. Oh, it's the Alpine flashing bug. The rear light of the Alpine likes to flash when it really shouldn't be, as Eberson gets an instant penalty for corner cutting, and Mitch gets an even bigger instant penalty. Seems like they've been going side by side and had a bit of an oopsie daisy. Remember, penalties can get removed if you do not serve them, but if you do serve them, it is not possible to remove them. As Truex spinned it whilst I was looking away from the screen for a bit. But fortunately I was riding on board. Is that going to be a safe car? No. And we'll go on board with Pavlakovic, is following in the DRS of Michelin, who runs quite wide through Ascari, and it seems like they're struggling to adapt between qualifying and the race. Oh, Jack Bailey in the middle of the race decided it would be a good idea to tell me to stop chatting like some PlayStation tier or something. So he probably doesn't know that I'm streaming this. But on board with Pavlakovic, he's almost been dropped out of DRS by Michelin, who's used a bit of battery to try and get a small gap. Michelin appears to run a bit deep, and Pavlakovic's actually at 100% battery, but only decides to use it a bit after the corner, which is not the optimal way to use battery, as Snake gets another instant penalty for corner cutting. I'll have to ride on board with him to see what's going on. The Snake front wing deficient. End plate deficient, yes. Someone's joined. Yeah, oh, that is not. That might have broken the rear wing. This race is not going well for Mitch so far, as he takes out the polystyling DRS board. And Penya's gonna also go for an overtake. But we'll go back on board with Pavlakovic, who is in the DRS of Michelin. Might go for a move. Is using a lot of battery, in fact. I think he might be going for the move. 356 kilometers an hour is extremely fast for an equal performance, and shows Michelin the door on the exit of turn 1 or entry into turn 2. So Michelin will have to follow behind for now, however the Mercedes driver does have a battery advantage. Pavlakovic is actually trying to break out of DRS or possibly bridge to the DRS of Shostak, which won't be happening this lap. However, the dropping out of DRS, that seems like it also won't. Or will it? Yeah, it has actually happened, as they pass the DRS detection point, and now this is where the DRS opens normally. although Mitch has done the kind task of removing those marker boards and has now come into the pits. But we'll go on board with Dominic, who has used quite a bit of battery, so has Tomas. But Kent has actually got a lot of battery installed, but we'll see whether Dominic is on the correct strategy of starting on the hards. He is only 4 and a bit seconds of Kent, which suggests that when I do calculations, pit stops, it's going to be a pretty close race. As it seems like, unfortunately, his teammate has brought out a very brief yellow flag through the Lesmo, so that might just be a minor spin. As we now go through the Lesmos, although that is not good minimum speed, I'm going to be completely honest. However, Dominic does stay within DRS, as it seems like Mitch has had yet another spin. So I think that's a safety car, and the safety car is out, so as much as I said Snape's actually been disqualified for being parked in a dangerous location. Dominic is actually in a slightly tight spot when it comes to what's it called, strategy, because if I get out my calculator, I'll do that now. See, Dominic does decide to pit, but the tyres, they'll have to do 16, 17. Okay, they should be on like mid to high 70s at the end, which is not optimal, if I'm going to be completely honest. But I mean, the pit lane is like 23-24 seconds, and Dominic does have the option of boxing for softs if there is another safety car later on. What happened to Stone? What happened? Oh, this might have to be a red flag. It's gonna be a red flag, I think. I'll have to check. This is weird. We might need to red flag this. I don't know. We should still have one more lap under safety car to decide. This is odd. Very peculiar. So now 2 people have gotten disqualified. We might need to red flag, but I don't. Well, only 2 people have had problems. Although if it's like, yeah, I know to ping the tier if it's red. I'm not sure. Oh, you overtook safety car by mistake. Yeah, so no red flag then. I think Mitch was a not a bug. Okay, so I don't think there's a red flag happening. Okay, I'm migrating host, it seems like. Will I be the new host, or will someone else be? Lottery time. Not that it does anything. Although I remember an old game, it might have been 2020, that the host got a penalty for speeding under virtual safety car after the ending message was displayed. However, everyone else could just speed under VSC when it ended. Wodge has just told. Oh, why is what's happening with the safety car? That gonna result. I'm gonna need. As a safety car, just let the leader by. I think the best thing to do is to. I think it's just best to red flag it. Okay, I have made the executive decision to red flag the race. And I think we'll go from the end of 8. Oh, I also need to check the rules. I think we'll... So, when was Churek... Or when was Snape disqualified? Need to find out. So... I think we'll go from the end of lap 8. Sorry for not having anything to show you on stream, but I've got to do some division coordinating. Okay, so I think we'll go from the end of 8, start of 9. So the order will be Kent, Kovacs, Dominic, Hoy, Ivanek, Healis, Stozak, Koplovsky, Mishler, Eberson, Koziel, Pena, Ziklevsky, Bakalik, Snake, and I'll check the rules to see if Churek and Khan can rejoin. But we'll be doing a 25% race. Not half points. Half points is lame. Also, it's Monza. So we have a lot of... Monza's a quick race, normally. So, whether... I should probably know whether disqualified people can join. So, there's a rule that says if before 25% race distance, which wasn't the case, the drivers who are eligible to take part in the race shall be eligible for the restart regardless of anything. It says nothing. Okay, it says nothing about whether... I think people who've crashed can rejoin. The rules are a bit vague though. Sorry to the 9 people who are watching. I'll just check over. That's... Wodge thinks they can't restart. This is a bit confusing. Actually, maybe the host leaving was the cause of all of this carnage. I'm not sure, though. I can't make the argument that end of lap 8 is less than 25% of the way in. Sorry, we'll be a bit dead for the next few minutes. Go watch PC4 for the PC4 will probably have some stuff on now, and come back in a few minutes. This is... where's the rule about DNF drivers? Why does Wodge have to be so mean? What if they were taken out by someone else? And then they aren't allowed to rejoin. Seems a bit unfair. Why do the rules not mention a single thing about it in the... Except... Why, if it's... The race is red flagged after 25%, why do they not do anything? This is, like, irritating and annoying. Has lobby host created a new lobby? Okay, no. Is Pavlakovic still racing or something? Why are people still driving? Why haven't people gotten the "it's red flagged" message? Have they not noticed something is wrong? We'll see if they are still that looks like a... Seems like Pavlakovic and Tomas are not ghosted, which means that they're actually driving, which is worrying. I think I might have to do the lobby before there's a thing. Quiet. Okay, now it's gone. Okay, I've done enough loud talking to stop the thing. Forgot how lame the... Oh no, I need to turn off crossplay. Metric was end of lap 8. End of 8, start of 9. Lap 9 was only because the first person. End of 8. Start of 9. We'll create one now. Friends only. I need to spectate. Okay. People can join off my profile if you want. Lobby settings. I'm not sure what. I think they're allowed. All of the like driving assist. I'm not sure about braking assist, but they'll hopefully keep it the same. Go for off. Custom grid. It was clear weather, right? Session start time realistic. Although some tiers have, or some leagues have gone for midday. Strict corner cutting. Immersive reduced, immersive off. Arc from Aeon. I think it's 80, right? 8. Double standard hard. Manual ghosting on. Not sure if that's supposed to be on or off. But we should be somewhat good. When will people backlick invite to lobby? Invite to lobby. Invite to lobby. Invite. It's Turek and Khan who won't want me to invite. Okay, that hopefully should be most of the people. Now I need to just set up the grid. Oh, which one is it? Weaken the structure, then grid editor. We've got Kent. Kovacs isn't in the lobby. You need to move up. Oh, now is when you wish you knew all the sorting algorithms. Quyll to make it faster. But I don't know efficient sorting algorithms, apart from the fact that I know that they exist. You go ahead of Keeler. Backalic goes at the back, Snape at the back, Kozil behind Eberson, Sikulevsky, head of back and Snape. Tomas goes up to the top. Mishla goes ahead of Eberson. So you've got Kent, Kovacs, Dominic. Need to move you up. We've got Ivanek, we've got Keeler, we've got Showstack, we've got Mishla, we've got Eberson, we've got Kozil. Put Pena up, Sikulevsky, Bakalik, Snape. He needs to go behind Stows. Yeah, and we've got 15. Yep, Snape, Bakalik, Sikulevsky, Pena, Kozil, Eberson, Mishla, Kopylovsky, Stojak, Keeler, Ivanek, Hoyski, Kovacs. Confirm. I think I'll tell them to ready up. Wait. While they talk, I'll just go over the grid once more, just to triple check that I've got it correct. Yeah, we've got Kent, Kovac, Quyll, Hoy, Ivanek, Keeler, Stoddard, Kopidov, Nishla, Eberson, Ozil, Pena, Zikolevsky, Baklik, Snape, and then we're good. Good to go. Yeah, and I'm spectating. Good. And I'll just need to get the stream up to as recent as possible. Why is YouTube not letting me scroll through? No, I don't want that. I want to do that and then do that and then get back in the game. And we're loading into the lobby. Hopefully there won't be any more carnage. And I have a second opportunity to commentate a race start. Yay! I'm not sure if I'm going to be commentating PC2 tomorrow. That is a mystery. Need to wait for people to get their setups. How many people forget their setups? Vote in chat, question mark, question mark, question mark. There's 12 watching. Probably some of them are drivers. How many people forget a setup, chat? And it's not like Bahrain where the default setup is good. The default setup you don't really want to use because the corners you're gonna just have understeer, and on the straights you're just gonna be in. Oh, why? No, Mitch, you're telling BS. You can change your tires. Negative. Okay, but we're on to the race start, as some people have gone for softs and some have gone for mediums, as I think we'll... And it's 5 lights out and away we go with a bit of lag. And I'll try and get the tyres up, but it seems like Tomas will be trying to go full move down the outside, but it seems like Kent has been able to get an absolutely great start, as I've got the audio bug, which is really not ideal, but we go. And it seems like Snape has had a horrific start. Apparently got caught on an invisible barrier, but we ride on board with Keeler, who's doing his trademark yeeting the curbs. And behind what is happening, seems like Hoy has been battling Eberson, and Showstack is following close behind and struggling with the rears, which is surprising considering they're on softs, which are going to be a lot grippier than the wearing mediums or hards they had in the previous lobby. Hoy's trying to bridge back into DRS. Actually, the top 4 are all very strung out. However, Eberson tries to go full move, almost crashes into the back, but fortunately no contact was made, as Kent does a 26-0. And right on board with Eberson, who's draining the battery to try and get past Hoy, which I'm not sure is very necessary, as saving the battery at Monza is quite useful. The game has some pit stop strategies. I don't think the hards are very good, as Keeler's had a disconnect. Keeler, invite to lobby. Why, when I'm selecting buttons, I decide to just move the buttons? Fortunately, I've set the AI level to 80, so you shouldn't lose too much time, but this guy's should be a bit better than the 80 difficulty AI. Because unfortunately we have a spin at the back. Seems to have involved 3 cars. Pena, Bakalik, retired on track. I think that's unfortunately 8 penalty points. Oh, I just realised something. During the red flag, I moved from the championship standings on my web browser to the rules about lobby restarts. So I haven't got the championship standings up. What I can tell you is that Ken is going to extend his championship lead. Because I do remember that as Snape just goes completely wide in Ascari, and then Pena just loops it round. But out in front, Ken is absolutely commanding this race with a pretty decent amount of battery as well. A second clear of DRS, so unless there's a safety car, it seems like he's going to be winning this. Behind we can see that Hoy has slipped behind Eberson, and Eberson's really using the battery. Although I do not think he'll be able to get in DRS, but neither will Kovacs or Keeler. But Hoy will, unless he messes up a chicane and the Lesmos, which is a possibility, as Eberson was actually flashing a bit, and it's not an Alpine, so it's probably a legitimate flash of the battery. But also Koziel, and actually Dominic as well. Dominic's had a terrible restart now that I think about it, I believe. But he's on a lot of battery, and Ivanek actually goes down the inside of Kopidlovsky, and going side by side to Ascari, which is... Oh, and Kopidlovsky's crashed and got terminal damage. Will that bring out this? Yes, it will bring out the safety car. Has Kent been able to pit? Yes. Oh, so I'm not sure if softs will go to the end. And hards are not the most ideal tyre. But you kind of have to pit. It's not like in a 50% where there's a high probability of another safety car and the... like the mediums or hards won't make it. Everyone's into the pit. Apart from Dominic. Probably gambling on another safety car and then going for some new softs after that safety car. But otherwise, the person in second place in the championship will not be scoring any points unless enough people DNF, which is a real possibility as we're already down to 13. And it will probably decline a bit more. It seems like Dominic is doing some fuel burning, although you need to use some brake, because revving out the engine actually doesn't burn that much fuel. So what tyres has everyone gone for? So the people who started on softs have gone for mediums. But Hoy, who started on mediums, went for hards, but the others have gone for softs, and I'm not sure the softs will make it. I think they'll be at, like, in the 70s at the end. They will be feeling completely dead. It's not like last year's game where the softs are completely overpowered. And also the softs will lose their edge just by doing the 2 laps under safety car. Which means that the medium runners will have almost the best tyres. What am I meaning by their tyres will not be too much slower than the softs. And then by the end of the race, the softs will be completely gone. If I do mean completely gone. Well, we have another lap under safety car. Fortunately, no one's got disqualified. Penya's still trying to catch up to the back. What is there to talk about? Ah! The DRS on the start-finish straight activates after the timing line. What other tracks have that? Well, Abu Dhabi has no DRS on the start-finish straight. What other track? Is it the only track that has that feature? Maybe. There's 12 of you in chat, probably at least one of you could work through every track. So could I, but that means that I am distracted from Le Commentator. Who do we ride board with that? Probably Quyll. I'll ride board so you can see whether Kent is able to dispatch Dominic on the restart on the 3-lap fresher mediums, which will have an advantage. It won't be massive at this point, but it will be an advantage. Well, the advantage will not be as big as a 1 or 2 lap difference from softs, as the safety car in the slap message has been broadcast as they cross into the final sector, which is standard procedure for this game. Just as the game having a lot of bugs and forcing us to re-lobby is also standard procedure. I'm sorry I've slagged off the game so much, but I have. There's 13 of you watching now, as Tuka, reigning PC1 champion, has joined the chat to say sheesh. I'm not sure what Tuka means by sheesh, but welcome back to EROs. 14 people are now watching. Has a PC4 stream ended or something? As we're underway, and it seems like Dominic has got a good restart and will be able to fight off Kent. But meanwhile, behind Eberson is following closely behind Tomas, but decides to save the battery, as do a lot of people. And it seems like it's going to be 1 by 1, apart from Ivanek, and it shows that Q decides to go side by side, and that will open the door for Koziel, who gets squeezed onto the curb. Fortunately, no contact is made, and there are no spinners. But Ivanek is going to have some absolutely insane straight line speed, and shows that. As someone forgot to apply a setup. Maybe. Or it might just be not using the batteries. Unfortunately, there's the yellow flag as Penny and Zikolewski have had a bit of an incident into the 4-5 chicane, but we'll see if shows that loses a bunch of time on the strip, because that would suggest a default setup. But meanwhile, Dominic has actually been able to break out of Kent's DRS. Yeah, that seems like a default setup. Someone forgot to put on a setup, as Eberson's already picked up a time penalty with multiple warnings, but shows that bins it and gets thermal damage on the, despite having the super understeery default setup. And there's another safety car, and I think now is the time for Dominic to head into the pits. So Dominic will be out in last place unless someone else decides to box, but Dominic will have decently newer softs than the people who started on softs, as well as Ebson, Hoy and Koziel, as well as Pena, have also decided to box. So that will be 4 additional positions for Dominic, so he'll only come out in P8 actually, which is really not that bad considering he'll have by far the freshest tyres, probably about 20% newer than the other guys on softs. So let's see if they'll be in at the end of lap 8, so that's 5 laps, but he'll probably be on about 50%, so he's actually in 7th. Wow. Dominic might be able to win this race. There's been a lot of safety cars. Hopefully they don't do what they did in Australia, which unfortunately we were unable to stream, but basically there was a bit of a pile-up on the safety car, which involved about 15 drivers. Not good. We'll ride on board with Dominic, who I think I'll ride on board with for the restart, as he is on the best tyres. And I believe he also has a setup loaded, unlike Showstack, who did not. And I believe he just had so much understeer, so then had to get on the throttle for some rotation, but got a bit too much throttle. That's the problem with an understeer setup. You have to be really greedy on the throttle if you don't feel any rotation, but when you're running a balanced setup, you can kind of feel the rear end when it's about to go. But when you're running an understeer setup, you just have the rear end is planted until it isn't. We'll be riding board under safety car for another lap. more safety cars, safety cars, safety cars, safety cars. As Penny and Zipalewski are in the pits again. Presumably to get the newest set of soft compound tyres, or to remove a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane by going through the pit lane. Although they will have quite a few sets of brand new softs because they haven't done qualifying in this lobby, so it doesn't really cost them. I'm not sure if it's going to be another safety car. But we run with Dominic. He was in 7th place right now, so only 6 positions to overtake the lead, and when you're on 3 lap newer softs, you're going to have a massive pace advantage. Like, really massive. Safety car in this lap should be broadcast in a moment or two. It isn't. It is. That's weird. We'll run board as everyone's trying to get a bit of last minute temperature into their tyres. And Ken is just slowing down to build up a gap so he can bolt it on the restart. We'll see whether Dominic is able to carve through the field and win this race on the newest soft compound, actually, apart from Zipalewski and Pena, but they have Eberson, Hoy and Koziel as buffer between them and Dominic. It seems like Kent is going quite late, which is not the best strategy, IMO. If you want to be leading, you want to go kinda early, is what I've noticed, as Eagle's got some pretty insane straight line speed, but he is going to get boxed in by Mishla or not. But he tries to go straight around the outside on the newer tyres. So Mishla just completely bounces off the curb into him, which is not ideal. However, seems like unfortunately Eberson has had a bit of a spin. We'll ride on board with Dominic, who I think will be able to dispatch Mishla into turn 4 on the newer tyres. And does so successfully. And as Mishla's actually lost out to Hoy as well. I'm not sure if he just had a compromised line through turn 5 and then got mugged a bit. We'll see whether Dominic is able to close in without using the battery, because when you're on these new tyres, you want to save the battery and use the tyres to close in, so you can use the battery to go for an overtake. And it will be another lap until DRS is enabled, as it seems like Koziel has had a spin, but fortunately has not got terminal damage. And you see Pavlakovic as well, lost a position and almost runs into the back of Eberson, but fortunately for both of them it does not. And I'll actually check now. So Giebel is only 2.8 seconds behind the lead, and I think I'll leave that up. We can see how it progresses, making into turn 1, getting some nice speed, and using a bit of battery. I wonder how much of these as Koziel decides to go into the pits, presumably for a new front wing, as the tyres shouldn't be too old, and if you are boxing for fastest lap, you typically go at the end of lap 11, so you have the least fuel and the newest tyres. So that's why I believe it's for a front wing swap, as Dominic is half a second behind Ivanek. Will he use the back? He'll use a bit, I assume, yes. However, Ken has actually been able to open up a few tenths on this lap so far, as he's been using the battery to do that somewhat. However, now we're going to have the DRS enabled. The next lap we're going to have the DRS enabled, as actually Ivanek's rear light is flashing, which says that I'm under 10% battery, so that will be an invitation for Dominic to go for an overtake now and try and bridge to the DRS of Tomas in front, who is almost exactly 1 second ahead, and then he'll try to reach the leaders, although it's going to be hard with only 3 laps remaining. And I think I'll switch back to the interval. Because I can add up 3 numbers, but 4 numbers, too hard. Seems like Penya's been overtaken by Zikalevsky for P8. And Skibor is going to within DRS of Tomas. And they're all actually pretty equal and pretty low on battery. And it seems like Ivanek might have been dropped out of DRS. I'm not sure why they're using so much battery instead of saving it for the final laps, but you do you. But behind, David Hoy has been saving the battery and is closing in on Ivanek quite rapidly, in fact. And we'll see if he's able to go for a move and possibly even close in on Dominic, who will also be trying to go for a move on Tomas. So I think we'll ride on board with Hoy and see if we can witness move ahead. However, Hoy gets a horrible run through Pavlakovic and bins it and gets terminal damage. That is not ideal. A lot of people have been struggling, but someone who isn't struggling is Skibor and the straight line speed. And now he's going to try to see if he can bridge to Quyll and Kent. Or more realistically, hope that Quyll and Kent go side by side and whack each other off or something. I think Quyll is P3 in the championship. Don't quote me on that, okay? Koziel might score points. But actually, he'll score points for fastest lap unless someone beats it, because even if you're outside the top 10, you get a point for fastest lap in ERO, but... Oh, they're doing the shenanigans... Or was that shenanigans or not? Or was that just Hoy not having DRS? Oh, they are doing shenanigans. Oh, this is exactly what Dominic needs if he wants to win this race. And they're both draining the batteries. Will they go side by side? And Kent has decided to stop using, and Quyll is still using. And Quyll will go around the outside into turn 1. And unfortunately, there's contact, which results in Kent having a half spin. And meanwhile, Dominic Skibor has been able to mug Kent for P2, and will he be able to get Quyll going into the final, final DRS zone? Probably not, if I'm being completely honest. But, as I said, the only way that Dominic could get past Kent and Quyll was if they battled, and they did. Seems like Dominic's tyres are going off now, as he is unable to stick in DRS. However, Kent shouldn't be much of a threat with the low battery and more than half a second behind at the start of the straight. But I don't think Tomas will be able to get either of them. What's happening with the Delta? As Michel unfortunately picks up a time penalty, which does absolutely nothing. And Snaples picks up a time penalty, which also does absolutely nothing. But it seems like Kent might have been tapped behind by Tomas. I didn't catch that, but from leading going into the final lap to finishing in 5th place, that is really not what will be an ideal final lap. What else has happened? I guess here's your final race result. Quyll. Actually, no, we need to do penalties. Penalties should be out Sunday. I'm the one doing them. I can release them anytime after the reporting deadline is closed, which will be tomorrow, 24 hours to the scheduled race start, so that will be in 22 hours and 37 minutes that you have to get your reports in. But Quyll has won on track. Don't think he's done anything to get a penalty, but Skibor comes in P2 and is awarded Driver of the Day in game, presumably for doing well after a poor grid position. as we can see the podium now. Or did Quyll do a Max and Lewis from last year? Maybe that's a penalty. In real life it was a 3-place grid penalty. Yes, standings creator Ennis, here you go. And then this is for me. The incident thing. Pit stops. Here's all the pit stops. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I guess. Probably time to end the stream. Everyone, thank you for watching. All 9 of you who have stuck to the end. See you next week at Imola, and I am going to save my mouth for the grand title there, but goodbye for now.